And welcome to tonight's episode of PCP. I'm Dave.
I'm Amber.
I'm Brandon.
Brandon, you come after Ashley.
Ashley's on so rarely that I forgot she was here. I'm
I know,
sorry.
it is my fault. I'm never freaking on.
Alright, sorry.
I'm here.
All right, and also joining us tonight are...
I'm Miles.
I'm Naria.
I'm Snooze.
Yeah, Nick will be joining us later. He's on another phone call at the moment. So tonight we're going to talk about something you don't often hear people on pagan podcasts talk about, disrespecting the gods. So we'll talk about disrespecting the gods after these messages. And we're back. So tonight's episode is a healthy disrespect for the gods. So we're not going to tell you to just tell them to fuck off because, well, that would only take about 3 seconds and we got 60 minutes to fill. That's not cool. So, let's...
Deities request that you use a little bit of style when you tell them to go get fucked.
Well, we're talking about deities and the divine. Let's start off. What is a deity?
Guess it all depends on who you're asking.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you a god?
Ray, when someone asks you,
If you're a god, you say yes.
I'm sorry, I had to do that. That was a moral imperative.
That's fine. Okay.
God, also known as the guy with bigger guns.
So
well,
Stalin was a deity?
Maybe to some people.
Ironically, or perhaps not, when I used to LARP, gods stood for Game Operations Director. He was a bit of a jerk. He ran the whole show. He was a bit of a jerk. Yes, we all had a healthy disrespect for God.
Score.
But what is God? Or who is God?
Seems like most people just define it as entities that are divine or have a large piece of divine or...
A deity is something that is divine. I love that definition. It clears everything right up.
Circular logic.
Okay, Dave, you're up for an epic flap. You know that? Not mere flap, but epic flap. All capital letters flap.
Okay.
Well, y'all trying to have like the expressway here. I'm trying to take like, the scenic byways of the Appalachian mountain range here to have an answer. And you're like, a deity is an entity that is divine. That doesn't help.
Well, that automatically excludes some people, for crying out loud. I mean, we get so many things that it's easier to say what they're not than it is to say what they are. Like, okay,
But a piece of well-aged brie cheese is divine. Does that mean that a piece of well-aged brie cheese is God?
Have you ever?
Well, actually, on the topic of
That
well-aged
depends if you're talking to a cheese
cheese,
enthusiast.
on the
Well,
topic of
snap.
well-aged cheese and all that stuff, I mean,
Mhm.
I just noticed that the preservatives in the grated Parmesan I had in the on top of the fridge expired. It turned red.
Yummy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're...
That's not real cheese.
Nobel Prize.
Therefore, it's not God.
I don't know. I mean, serious answer.
But-
What is deity? What is deity? Well, deity, and this is I'm just going to use this as a loose answer. Okay. So please,
It's,
I'm not
it's
trying to
definitely
tie
not a virgin
myself up.
answer.
I'm not trying to tie
Service
myself
deities
up
are
with
loose.
this answer. And remember,
Service
this is,
deities are loose.
Now remember, this is coming from somebody who's publicly agnostic, so hey. Deity is loosely defined as anything non-corporeal with some personality that can somewhat affect your life.
Okay.
Loosely defined.
I disagree.
See, I have a problem with that.
Alright,
I don't
Maria,
worship ghosts.
You have now been baited into having an opinion. Please come forth.
Okay. So, having the background in Christianity, you have other things that are divine that can influence your life, such as angels, messengers of the heavenly deities, even technically divine are demons and stuff like that can have an effect on you. So there are sub-beings that are not quite godlike, but they can still have an effect on what goes on in your everyday life, whether it's they're gods or not. Sort of forgetting a whole another level of beings there, I guess, would be the proper way of putting it.
I try one as well.
Shoot.
God.
Naria's next in line.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go for it.
I've been in line. Oh, good gods. Oh, wait, no gods. Gods are supernatural, therefore do not exist. If a god existed, then they would be supernatural, and therefore not a god. Enjoy your paradox.
But what about the all natural gods of Wicca?
That logic proves that you exist, and therefore you don't. Oh dear, said God, I hadn't thought of that and disappeared in a puff of logic.
I love the Hitchhiker, guys.
But,
I got an
But-
easy and
I
simple
particularly
one.
like
I
that
know.
guy's quotes on leadership.
but God is a personification of the ideals of a person, a community, or a culture.
I like that. I like mine though. I got
What's
a
yours?
simple one.
What's that?
Gods are everybody at the top of the spiritual food chain.
See, now that's a nice and easy one. I can
like
agree with that one.
That'll fit on a bumper sticker too. So I have Epic Win, but I really do actually like Miles's, not just because he's cute.
Which means God. Well, if yours is true, then gods eat everybody else.
No.
No.
They can.
You can be at the top of the food chain and not necessarily eat everybody. Bears are one of the animals at the top of the food chain, but they actually eat
Yeah.
bugs and
I know.
grub and crap.
Yeah.
Well, I think what's being consumed is free will.
Into Cthulhu, who will be eaten first.
Yes. Thank you, Miles. I was waiting. Think Cthulhu
Um,
beat you?
I cannot
Okay.
go into my theories or views on the vampire god on a
Oh,
public
God.
podcast.
I know.
But we
I
know who the
wouldn't say
vampire
that
god
it's just free will that's consumed, though.
No.
Because there's a lot of them that really don't like to deal with people, and I've dealt with a couple of them that the idea of giving up free will and wanting them to do things is really, really obnoxious, and they can't stand it.
Yeah, there's some of them that don't even seem to really tolerate the idea of being, ultimately obeyed or anything like that. They're just not up for it. I would say, instead of saying free will, I would say attention.
Energy.
Well, yeah.
Mana.
Yeah, but that kind of goes back to vampire god.
Not really.
Nah.
We feed them mana, and the more worshippers the god has, the more powerful the god is because he has more people feeding him more mana.
Feed me, Seymour.
But it's not necessarily even being fed. It all depends on what it is. If you have deities that are nature-based, sometimes it's not feeding them energy, but the fact that you care for trees or plants or vegetables, the growing process that the plants put off can be a food for them. So it goes back to energy. It just depends on what pantheon, which deity, so on and so
Yep.
forth.
Yeah, but isn't that the same food, a man gives his person that he loves? It's like, basically, long story short, guys, no, women just want to be loved. And so, we just try to get anything that elicits that whole, aw, he cares about me response.
Well, the Earth and Gaia nature thing or whatever still works with the top of the food chain, because when you think about it, where do we all ultimately wind back up?
Worm food.
Mm-hmm.
Dirt. I get to be dirts.
Dirt.
So still
Yeah.
works. I'm getting bumper stickers. Cafe Press link will be up in the morning.
Well, I mean, if you want to get really absolutely technical, I do believe there's been one or two animal-manned space probes that didn't return back to this big lump of dirt. So, just feel I gotta put that exception in there.
Well, okay, they shot Jerry Garcia out in the space or whatever,
That's
but
right.
they also poured part of him out at the Ganges, so I'm calling that one good.
That's awesome.
He went double dip. And
We're
I
going
love Jerry
DP
Garcia.
on PCP.
Damn straight. And I love Jerry Garcia for doing that. I loved him
good.
anyway. I absolutely adore him for it now, and I'm waving to him out the window right now
Yeah.
because he's up there somewhere.
Lost in space.
I can just
Okay.
see it. Part of his body shot into space. He's going, it's going, it's going, incinerated by a flying comet.
Yeah, but you know that wouldn't bother
Eaten
him.
by a sun.
That Gene Roddenberry, either one. Garcia or Roddenberry, either one. That would not bother either of them. They'd be sitting there going, "Whoa."
Yeah. Who else is out there?
I may have just gotten us in a deadly segue.
Send me two others. Yeah, I know.
Sorry, Dave.
It's all right.
So,
We just need to put that in the year-end episode. What was the worst segue we had all year?
yay.
Dead
Wow, there would be
guys
so many
in space.
We got 2 weeks to think of that one. Let's move on. We already pretty well hammered out what divine is, and before we start getting into too many people going to space, let's talk about disrespect. So what do we mean by disrespect in this particular context, since the episode is disrespect for the gods?
Well, can I go for this one?
Go.
Now, my idea of disrespect for the gods is when you just get, you know with this certainty what you're supposed to do, and you tell them to go Facebook off.
That is a new BCP meme. I'm so using that.
Awesome.
I have a question though. We jumped right from analyzing what a god is to what disrespect means, but we missed why is it assumed that it's necessary that we should first respect gods? Do
And
gods
that would-
want to be respected?
And
But-
that is part of the reason why I periodically tell them to Facebook off. See, the trick with disrespecting a god, and it's just my own personal viewpoint, so feel free to disagree. If it works for you, it works for you, is you can be a poo-poo head to them, just don't be belligerent to them.
Yes and no. I'd have to toss that in there or whatever, because just for the sake of the fact, okay, the old man, Odin, Woden, whichever way you want to go, he actually seems to respect people a lot more. And I got this advice from a guy who's been a devotee of his for years and years and years, and he actually seems to respect you a lot more if you tell him to sod the hell off the first time he starts kind of poking you in the shoulder or poking you in the side of the head going, hey, you, hey. And I did that because I kind of was like, okay, I don't want to deal with, I don't want to deal with this entity on a supplicant basis because I just don't really like that sort of thing. And it appears to have worked actually fairly well. And same thing with the Morrigan. The Morrigan seems to respect people that are willing to tell her no more than people that are like, just sycophantic, crawling on the ground idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Mama Kali. she seems to respect me a whole lot more when I'm saying, look, screw this. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Or I don't think this is right or something, than if I were to kiss her butt. I'm seeing a pattern here. Almost everybody I interact with, I've told to screw off several times, and they seem to like it.
If it means anything, I think you've said that to most people, too.
Well, yeah, and you guys seem to like it, too.
Yeah, I think that I've never seen interacting with the gods as being way different than interacting in any other social group. There are some that really there are some that really have narcissism problems and control issues, where if you tell them to sod off, they get really butthurt. And then there's ones where they're just trying to organize, they're trying to be busy, and if you tell them to sod off, they're kind of just like, oh, I didn't mean to push you, I'm sorry, and go right back to what they're doing, and everything's cool. And then there's the whole spectrum in between, and farther ends of the spectrum. I've seen deities in all ends of that spectrum, too. So I don't think it's a simple relationship.
Well, something I've seen is that a major mainstream religion that I'm not going to blatantly name seems to require that its adherents remain as infantile supplicants, almost always see themselves as inferior and unworthy and dependent on, and forever grasping for the appreciation of and recognition of their supreme being. And so they're always in this state of, as it were, puppyhood. And so...
Are you talking about Buddhism again?
No, I'm not. And so...
Close enough.
And so respect there is as much as... way of being noticed, whereas pagans, I think, polytheists and like that, their gods seem to want to have followers who know how to grow up and walk on their own 2 feet and think for themselves. And as the boy becomes a man, he does not so much disrespect his father as he sees him through different eyes, and the respect is still there, but he might occasionally tell him to fuck off and mind your own business every now and then, which is not quite the same as just being rude and boorish too. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, I know some people that kind of have that familial, like, the best way I could describe it is like a family relationship. You don't really want to abandon them, but you don't really like them that much. So, you start the morning with Facebook you and good morning, as one anti-theist that's a regular on the show who shall be unnamed, but yeah, he says that a lot.
Hey now. Coyote. Coyote. Fuck you and good morning. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
It's not worshiping. It's just, it's a relationship.
Right.
On the topic of literalism and relationship, I'm sorry.
Fucking and Coyote?
Wow.
Bad Dave. Bad Dave.
I cannot unsee.
Bringing the pain. Bringing the
One thing
pain.
I've learned, you cannot unlearn.
I've discovered that the sacrifices I must make in life is other people's mental anguish.
That's not sacrifices for you, that's food.
Oh, it's other
See, we're back to that thing
sacrifice.
again.
Oh, other
Skirmy's
people's
a
anguish.
vampire.
feeds on their anguish.
Yes.
And they feed him disrespect. See, that's how that works.
Well, since
There's
this,
something. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, go ahead.
Well, it's just that actually kind of works in about appropriate. It's like there's some people that going back to what I agree with what Amber said really just a minute ago about that it's really just kind of like interacting with people. There's some people that don't need to be told to screw off. And there's some deities like, okay, I like Bridget. I like, she's great. I like the Dagda. He's awesome. I've never felt an inclination really or a need to tell either of them, piss off, get out of my face, quit screwing around, quit messing around with my life, because they just don't seem to operate that way. But then there's some people, if I kissed Scurvy's butt, if I, was a yes man to him or something, he wouldn't respect me for that.
Nope.
No.
He would have no
but I
use
would
for that.
definitely exploit that.
Well, yeah, exactly. But you wouldn't respect me for it, and you wouldn't respect me for being able to be exploited either. Dave, you wouldn't.
Actually, I might. If you were able to do that with me, I would probably respect your durability.
That's not the same thing, though. A welcome mat can be durable, but it still has crap wiped all over it.
I know, but I mean, it's. I have to give credit where credit was due. I don't think someone could do that, but I mean, if they could, I mean, I would.
Dude, you're harshing
really?
my metaphor.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, it's like I agree with what Amber said, and I agree with what Miles said about that it's not so much disrespect as simply maybe approaching it from a more mature angle. But I think there really are some that respect you more if you're not approaching them, as a supplicant on your knees. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't really deal with deities who are like that. I don't respect them.
What if we tie it? Maybe we can tie it all together. A lot of people seem to view deities as kind of a spiritual paternal kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And we're talking about different relationships and everything like that. What if we made it a metaphor to how you deal with your parents? There's some parents that are very controlling. There's ones that need to watch what you're doing and make sure that you fit in their footsteps exactly how they think that you're supposed to fit in their footsteps, and the little bit that you step out. There's ones that are really, really lax, and they really don't care what you're doing as long as you're not hurting people. It's cool.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Does that
then
mean that there's a divine CYS that takes us away and gives us to other gods? Because they're bad. Or they're drunk gods that abuse their people. I hate you because I was a failure in life and just slap you around.
Oh, I see you talking about the Old Testament God again.
Yeah.
Snap.
Yahweh had all
What did
his
I
children
tell
taken
you
away.
about? What did I tell you about talking about that Twilight individual around me?
Yeah. I just had a really depressing relationship, and I don't see why anybody else should be having a good time.
Pretty
Dude,
much.
you are on the Douglas Adams tonight.
I don't know. It's just it fits,
I'm not complaining. It's one of the reasons why you're absolutely wonderful.
I was thinking just then of a line from another movie when Ferris Bueller is talking about his friend Cameron, and he says, that guy's going to marry the first girl he lays, and he won't respect him because he can't respect someone who kisses your ass. If we spend a lot of time kissing God's ass all the time, are we respected for doing so, or is it assumed that that's protocol behavior? I think respect is healthy, at least now and then, depends on the deity.
Well, Well, where do we learn all this protocol stuff from? It's from the dogma of whatever religion you're practicing, and a lot of that dogma,
Or grew up in, or
and a lot of that always points to respect the divine because, well,
That's right.
they're good friends to have, and that kind of finally answers the question you brought up 24 minutes ago about why we respect the divine.
because we're told to.
Yes, basically.
But I think it can go back a little bit to the parent-child relationship. That is, it's the same idea as it depends on which pantheon and school of thought and what so on and so forth. But a lot of people go with the idea that the divine have a greater span of wisdom than we poor humans with our tiny little monkey brains. They see things in a different aspect, so it's kind of like the parent. They've went through all these experiences. They know much more than you do. They've grown up. So the idea is to respect them because they know so much more than you, and they're somebody that you can go to help get answers
That's
and
right.
and try
Old
to
people,
find your
they're
path.
awesome. They know stuff.
They do know stuff.
As opposed to Harry Potter or Naruto.
No.
Exactly.
No, those are cultural avatars. That's another episode.
Speaking of, that's just
Can
hunting
we
one's
86
elders.
that topic, please?
Wow, you and Maria went on at the same time.
Wow.
Sometimes they say great minds think alike, but
I agree.
I don't know, but hurry up. I got a Buffy ritual in about an hour.
Oh man, I think we just lost our entire Fluffy audience with this episode. Don't worry, we are getting to the point where you can show respect to the gods. It's just it might be in part two.
either lost or offended. I'd rather have lost them, though, at this point. 'Cause if they're offended. Okay.
But I mean, the point a whole point, the whole thing that got me started with planning this episode was, I was looking at some people and I'm like, man, usually I make a little bit of fun of the Christians because, well, they can't so much as take an exam without asking God for help. And then I seen pagans do this. I'm like, man, I think this is just a whole people doing deity thing. And it's just, it bothers me because it's almost like learned helplessness. Like, I don't mind if you go out, you study your butt off for an exam, and you're like, man, I could use any help I can get. Get down on your knees and start worshiping your butt off. Okay, I get that. That is cool. But I just don't like the whole depending on an entity to pull strings for you, essentially. I mean, you got to do some work yourself. And deities can help you out, but you got to do some work, man.
Oh, you reminded me of something from my past. Can I please rant about this?
Go ahead.
Jesus gets these missiles where they need to go!
Oh my god.
God.
Oh my.
Yeah. And this is why I see a doctor.
A couple of days ago, I posted a Facebook status about the old poem of man who's walking on the beach and he sees two kinds of footprints, him and God, and in the hardest times of his life there was only one kind of footprints there, and he asked God, in those times of great need, why do you abandon me? And I asked commenters to supply other possible answers of what God may have said. Among those, more than one, was people's answer that, geez, kids, sometimes work out your problems for your own self. I'm fucking busy sometimes.
Do we have a post-Scurvy silence on Miles?
I do believe.
That's
so.
scary. See, again, I still think that I actually had the shortest, most concise, and best answer that you got. My answer was, "'Cause I'm a ninja."
I like the one as well, though. There was one answer to those only ones and the footprints, and God said, "'Cause I'm God, I can fly, yo."
That was a good one. That was a good one.
God can
There
fly.
were several really good ones on there.
There were.
My
But back to this.
my great grandmother actually has a plaque that says the entire thing on there, and it talks about how it was then that God carried him.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's a traditional answer. That's right, but
Yeah.
and
Maybe God said, times are really hard, and I'm going to give you this opportunity to grow. Have fun.
Huh.
I nurtured you for a while.
I like
Yep,
the
love
one
you.
as well. I like the answer that said, and God's and God said that in those times of your greatest need, I thought you were depressed and needed cheering up, so we each hopped on one foot.
Yeah, that's the one I was trying to remember. That's the one I was trying to remember. That was good.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a friend today, and
Really cool.
yeah,
Awesome.
smart ass.
Yes,
Sorry.
Amber has friends.
Oh my god.
Ooh,
Well,
that's
Joe has,
hot.
Sweet.
well, Joe has two. He pays them.
And she was telling me that she's been
Hi,
been
Peter.
going. Hey. She's been going through a real rough time lately, and she's been talking to Brigid, and she had asked Brigid that, I really need you right now. I don't think I can do this on my own. Things aren't doing well. And she said Brigid kind of responded that, no, you're doing fine. You were tempered by fire, and now you're going to be tempered by the rest of it. She said it was kind of with the attitude of, honey, it's okay, put a Band-Aid on it and it'll be fine. Just, get on. And I think it's kind of funny because we all talk about, and Peter puts in the chat room, if the gods are carrying me, should I be concerned with the destination?
Oh, nice.
There you go.
That's good.
That works.
That is
Yeah.
why you don't ask the deities for that much help.
Because they will give you what you asked for.
Yeah, if we
Oh.
had any kind of, and going back to the whole parent-child, because it's still working for now, if you had a parent that didn't want you to do anything, here, let me do your homework for you. Here, no, I'll deal with this. No, here, I'll do your job interview for you. Here,
You'd
no,
never-
it's okay.
Yeah,
You'd never
grow
do.
up.
Yeah.
Right.
So the idea that Dave's talking about is, asking the gods for this, asking the gods for that. I don't know about anybody else, but there's been a couple of times where I've asked the gods and I've got do it your damn self.
Right. Oh, I have too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Geez, you're big enough. You solve this. I've been-
And I think that's awesome.
I've been told that.
What we were talking about in the episode on tarot reading, we were talking about some people just can't get anything. There is nothing in these cards for you right now. I've gotten that as a response, and I found out later on from somebody else that does a whole lot of in-depth stuff that was somebody blatantly specific telling me you need to solve this one on your own. It's your job.
That's right.
See, here's something, and of all people, I know I have no room to talk about this, but here's my idea on how you respect a deity. When you're having a really, really, really good day, invite them into that too.
There you go.
That's cool.
That's cool. Well, yeah.
Or when you've picked yourself up and put on your big girl panties after they've dropped you on your ass. After you're done being butthurt, going, thank you for making me do that on my own, and showing them that you appreciate the hell that they put you through in order to grow.
I do most of my respecting with mugs of some fairly dark beer on my altar.
Yeah, that's right. Gods like beer.
Well, some of them do. Most of my guys are whatever. You can't. Most of them are like Celtic or whatever, Western European. You can't go too wrong doing the beer thing. But it's again, that's something that I do. It's like before my icons for the old man and the Dagda. I'll put it up there and everything, and it's more or less the weekly thing is just thanks guys for being part of the household, or coming in here and there or whatever and kicking my butt or showing me something, or just just being around and being cool. And that simple thing seems to work. I don't really need a whole lot of elaborate everything all over the place for either of them. It's like, okay, beer, we're good to go. Mm-hmm. Although we did give them a big plate for Thanksgiving.
Nick's back.
That rings a bell.
It's really spooky when people forget that you're on Skype with them and all that, and you are trying to figure out whether you should drop the call or not eavesdrop. And I'm sorry, but whose phone's ringing?
Mm-hmm.
No idea. Mine's at work. Oops. Yes, you can hear it on the podcast.
Oh God, someone's getting. Whoever gets to post-produce this one, please withdraw some antipsychotics.
Peter says it's the gods calling and they're pissed.
Oh, Facebook them.
But
I am still going to start using that.
In answer to Peter's comment a while ago, and if the gods are carrying you, would you be concerned about the destination? The first thought that came to mind was that only the Great Atuan knows where the Great Atuan is going, but he also knows that he's going to a good place. That's nice. So the gods know what's in store, and it's cool. Come along for the ride.
I like it.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think the line of reasoning that goes with that is, oh, you couldn't handle that little challenge. Well, it's because it was too small for you. We're going to carry you for a while. Enjoy the ride. Oh, have fun.
And then drop you at the most inconvenient place when you'll have to fight something on your bloody own.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, if you ever get the feeling that, it's like, man, why does it feel like my deity's making popcorn?
That's when I go, not again.
Oh, what was that T-shirt from years ago? It said, gods love heroes. They also love a good laugh. Think about it.
Yeah.
I guess they just like watching the Scurvy show.
They do like watching the Scurvy show.
Hey, I lived through my own stupidity.
For now.
Facebook you.
Facebook you too.
That's why people watch Cops on TV. Somebody else's tragedy is your entertainment.
Well, everyone's getting
Shade and Fraud lives.
What are you going to do when they come for you? Deities.
Tell them to Facebook off.
Jesus is coming. Look busy.
I'm so totally using that.
Are we being disrespectful?
I don't know. Seems to be the side of the spectrum we're siding on for now.
Well, nobody's broken into the holy hand grenade thing from Monty Python's Holy Grail, so I figure we're okay.
I was getting there.
Instead of it being Team America World Police, it'll be Team Deities.
Yep.
World Police.
Well, actually, there's those who think that Team Jesus World Police is how it's supposed to be, and they're the ones that kind of frighten me sometimes.
again.
Like if they put
Yeah, they are
If
kind
they
of
put-
scary.
Bible scriptures on the gun sights, what the heck is with that?
I knew some guys that put Bible
Bible?
verses on their armor.
Do you have any idea what all people put on the gun sights?
I confess I don't.
Oh, you don't want to know, and I don't think it's appropriate for the FCC. I know we're not on the FCC airways, but no.
Wow, that was a quick jump in. Okay.
To the
have
tone
been
of my
censored.
voice.
We have been censored. Yes, you'd know, wouldn't you?
Dave's already been there, done that, bought the snow globe and the T-shirt.
Although I do have to admit that that was impressive.
I'm gonna
to me.
bow to his superior experience.
See, everybody now knows what it is without anybody saying anything about what it is.
Skills.
Remember, it's
You
not
can
language,
move
it's sex that's barred from the FCC airwaves.
Oh, fuck off.
No, that's Facebook off to you. I have to admit, though, having a female help you out with your unpacking that day, and she gets to look down at that awesome vein work on that launcher tube. Yeah. That was an awkward 10 minutes.
That's amazing. In all the wrong ways.
And that, by the way, is how deities tell you to go get Facebook. Tomorrow I'll be driving on my way to work all paranoid, and I know some stupid gonna cross the meridian at me. Then the next month, my car's gonna be invisible on 81. People are just gonna be merged into my lane because of this episode. I hope you people are happy.
Did you say cross the meridian?
Yeah,
Okay.
I had about
just
three
making sure.
18-wheelers come at me now.
Oh, median.
Yeah, I was gonna like meridian. Like meridian.
Meridian.
You're on a boat.
That's like a global reference line. Wow. Look, he's in
They're
Argentina.
really out to get you.
He's
Boy,
on the west side now. He is so screwed.
That's not just lost. That's Argentina lost.
Hey, when you got an 18-wheeler that just crossed that big old line coming at you, trust me, that's Argentina lost.
Brown trouser moment.
Actually, so far that hasn't happened. I'm actually sort of at a loss to explain that one.
You eat a lot of fiber.
I mean, really, it's just like, for as often as that happens, I should have at least Facebooked my pants by now or something.
Crikey.
I know what you're getting for Christmas.
Extra pants? A condom for the gun sight?
Diapers.
Actually, no, I think they were painting the missiles as heads, though.
Nice.
It kind of depends.
Depending.
Oh, are you kidding? There is so much awesome stuff people paint on that stuff. I mean, some of it's just like words of wisdom, like nothing personal.
That's great. Like, well, it's gonna be obliterated into nothing in a matter of seconds anyway, so it's not like it's really gonna matter. Just that awkward moment when someone's expecting it.
There you are.
Oh, that chunk of hardware though gave me a pretty odd feeling. That was kind of weird. It's like, oh, nothing personal. Ooh.
It's just the military's bullet regifting program.
Nice.
Reuse, recycle.
Cakes laced with C4. And
Reduce.
Well, they've already got the reduce part.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Bullet regifting.
That's beautiful.
Thing says sharing like shrapnel.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember who I got that from. I didn't make that up. I stole it from somebody,
that
but I can't remember
was-
who.
That was Peter Sagal on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Very good, yes.
Talking about if liberals ran the army.
Yeah, there you go.
So let's try to get somewhere near the middle here. We kind of did talk about, you know, respecting the deity a little. You know, something nice is going on in your life. You know, invite them into that as well, not just your drama messes.
That's cool.
Another thing I just want to bring up is, you know, if you're trying to show respect to a deity, if you're gonna dedicate yourself to a deity, cool. If you're gonna dedicate yourself to 2 deities, awkward, but I guess it could work. 3, you're pushing it. The main thing is don't hand out dedications like it's a free pass, because then it just becomes meaningless.
Don't be a celestial slut.
Good point.
That would be
Could you
me.
imagine the locker room conversations deities have to have about some Wiccans?
Oh, I bet.
Well, I think there's also a difference between dedicating and working with, though.
Oh yeah, there's definitely
Oh,
a
yeah.
huge difference there.
Well, it's a blog I wrote a while ago called "Is Wicca Becoming a Plug-and-Play Religion?" If you just choose whichever god of the week that seems to fit, yeah, let's worship this one for this ritual. It's a meaningless gesture if you don't even know who you're invoking into ritual.
Yeah, but like
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would say like working with a deity is kind of like having a coworker while you're volunteering at like the local park or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, no permanent relationship there, but if you're dedicating yourself to a deity, that is the establishment
Right.
of a long-term relationship. It's like dating someone.
Mhm.
And don't date another person unless you know they're okay with poly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave.
Yes, Nuria?
Church of Dave.
No, there will be no Church of Dave. We have Cult of Amber.
Yeah, but the Church of Dave is in the Cult of Amber, sir. I have decreed it, therefore it is. I win!
Yeah, but there will still be no worshipping of the Dave.
Okay. Everyone,
Okay,
we
fine.
need to dedicate ourselves to Dave.
No.
Consider saint.
No.
Well, actually, come to think
Saint
about it, I do
David.
treat Dave kind of like how I do treat most deities. I tell him to go get Facebooked on a regular basis. Consistently let him down.
There you go. Scrubby's your first worshiper.
See, somebody
You
said
stop
something
cult.
about even Snooze worships Dave now, and my response, you know, it's like my response was, I can't worship Dave. I haven't told him to screw off yet. That's a good argument for the respect thing, though, because even if you haven't dedicated it, whether you've dedicated yourself to a deity or whether you're just working with them because you're doing something that's appropriate, you know, to their shtick, there's still a gesture of respect to be had in at least doing your say it with me, do your homework.
Okay, that's going to get echo.
And get it right. Because, like, okay, Ganesha, fantastic guy. I don't know anybody that can really have a big gripe against him because he's just cool. He's nice guys. Everybody's, you know, he's good. But you don't go put, like, okay, I got beer on my Celtic deity's altar. Ganesha does not get beer. Ganesha gets flowers and the odd mango here and there or whatever, because handing him alcohol is an insult.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Miles' altar, you got, you know, Papa and the Baron. Not handing them alcohol is an insult.
Right. They need their
So
rum and
it's-
chocolate.
You gotta, even if it's just a one-time working thing, like if you're working with a deity because you're trying to do something for someone who's having surgery in the morning, and that's their deity that you're saying, hey, listen, we're asking for your person here. You still need to get it right. And pay attention to what they like and what they don't like.
And if that means they need Twizzlers and Cheetos, you get them Twizzlers and Cheetos.
Yeah.
There you
Maybe
go.
some Mountain Dew.
Talking about Loki?
Sure, why not?
Oh, wait, he prefers cherry tarts. I forgot about that. Never mind.
Yeah, we always talk about bringing deity into our little existence whenever we're in trouble. But sometimes the deities come to us and ask for help. And you know what? Sometimes it's just a good idea to help them out. You know, if they don't ask you for stuff that often, they probably wouldn't mind needing to help. They might even appreciate it.
Well, everybody can be nice and everybody can be civilized and everything. Somebody comes up and says, hey, listen, my car's broke down. Can I use your phone? Sure, no problem. Somebody bangs on your door and goes, hey, jackass, give me your frickin' phone. No.
Yeah. I kind of I should have said if the deity asked politely.
I mean, it's good. It's good to cooperate with people when as long as it's not going to get you thrown off a cliff into shark-infested waters with, chum underwear on.
But I think
Does the deity ask you for help doesn't mean you have to be happy about helping.
And I think it goes back to all the different kinds of relationships. I work with Coyote. And if Coyote comes up and all of a sudden goes, there's this thing that you have to go do right now. I love Coyote. But I'm going to hesitate for a minute or two at the very least.
There you go.
Especially if it's like, I think I lost this glass ball in the middle of the ocean. Don't worry about the hurricane coming up. Just grab it for me. It'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
22 today.
I think I know that person, actually.
God.
I'm trying to think about. I think I am that person occasionally.
Just remember, and I think the Asatru get this right, gods live by different standards than human beings.
Oh, yeah.
So a human being barging into your bedroom and politely asking something is something you might want to whip out a gun and shoot the person for. If a deity does that, you should consider that polite.
Dave
Too
generated.
quiet. Oh my god.
Wow.
Oh, I generated post-Kirby silence. That's not good.
Congratulations, Dave.
I don't think I've done that yet this episode.
But I think getting back to Scurry's belligerence comment of about an hour ago now, yeah, you can disrespect, but don't give them reason to be completely pissed off at you. They still can make your life miserable and turn things into a nice little riddle.
Don't waste their time.
All that too.
Well, let's go back to an example. Let's say Coyote wants you to do something that may or may not be in. I'm not so much going to use your best interest, but we're just going to say, love you too. We're just going to say that may or may not be in the best interest of your continued existence, or even just your best interest. Period. Okay. Yeah. Telling him to go get blanked is one thing. Belligerence is not even considering it, period. In my opinion.
It's kind of like if you have a rattlesnake, and it's cold outside and the poor rattlesnake is suffering, you don't have to pick it up and warm it up.
No.
Even if you know it'll make it better. But you also don't have to kick it in the face to show it that you don't appreciate its presence in the path of where you're walking.
Yes.
True.
You can simply walk around it and avoid it and...
Responding with a Facebook you to a deity when they ask you for something, yeah, that's not exactly respectful. Now, going out of your way to disrespect them, that's crossing the line of belligerence. Facebook you as a response to a question, okay, that could be construed as blunt honesty, even though some people might disagree with me there. Going out of your way to tell them to go get Facebooked just because you feel like it and running their name through the muck, yeah, that's belligerence. To borrow a quote from a movie that I love, The Rock, as the guy said, if you're going to be insubordinate, I'd appreciate it if you did it with a little bit more respect. Sorry, I like one of the best quotes of all time, in my opinion.
Awesome movie, too.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, then you get the weirdness, like, okay, try this one on for size. I had somebody that was kind of cropping up in my life a little bit last year, and this entity apparently wanted me to make changes in my life that I'm sorry, I feel they're incompatible with who I am and what I'm about, what my values are. And I kind of bugged about it a bit because the message I seemed to be getting was, if you don't quote unquote fix these lapses, nothing's going to come together for you for the rest of your life. You're going to be stuck in this little loop. And I'm like, well, okay, if I make these changes or whatever, then my life is kind of going to go to crap anyway. So what have I got to lose? And I bugged about it for a little while, and then it's like I finally had, I get a lot of my downloads when I'm asleep. I can tell the difference between my brain cleaning itself out in a regular dream and getting a download, what I call a download from somebody. And what I got was the old man in the Dagda and Mama Kali basically saying, why the hell are you wasting your time giving a shit? Tell her to saw it off. It's not her you're not hers. Tell her to kiss your ass. Her crap doesn't matter. It's like, okay. I got my boys and my chick backing me on this, apparently. They're okay with it. They were here first. Fine, I'll do that. And we wound up kind of striking a bargain. There's an area that I will not trespass in, which I can do without. And they leave me alone. And apparently I had my other deities backing on doing that. So do I write that as a screenplay and sell it, or what? Or maybe it should be a webcomic.
I don't know. It sounds like a pretty awesome movie to me. But then again, I always like seeing battles between the gods.
You shall not pass the movie.
Which is really, really, really actually funny as hell, because a lot of the time in my mind, my mental picture of the old man looks a lot like Ian McKellen with long hair, but dressed much rattier, and of course with one eye than Gandalf or somebody.
That's just
10 miles of bad road, I think is the phrase.
Yeah.
Of course, it doesn't help any that my mental picture of the Dagda usually looks a lot like Brian Blessed when he played Voltan in Flash Gordon. So
Oh, me too.
Oh God.
Pop culture victim.
That is awesome.
I like the description of the Dagda.
It makes for a hell of a picture, let me tell you.
So, wouldn't that technically make them pop culture deities?
Huh?
Pop culture deities.
No, I got a blip. I didn't. Oh, okay. Probably pop culture victim something. I tend to go all Joseph Campbell on stuff like that, and basically that deity communicates through filters that our brains can handle, or ones that work the best for us. And those are both mental images that work really well for me, because of the way I picture their personalities and their attitudes. So I don't think it's quite the same thing as a culturally produced avatar, but I figure it's modernization of spiritual filtering, maybe. Yeah, modernization of spiritual filter, maybe, or perception filter. Does that sound highbrow enough to get past?
Sure.
Yeah, it sounds like it to me.
My perception of the Dagda was brought into focus by our friend Catherine Hines, who's said that the Dagda is like a cross between Santa Claus and Jerry Garcia, which is wonderful. A big, clumsy, happy, friendly oaf. Which leads me to wonder, is the presumed respect for gods presumed to be due because God is supposed to be this big, scary, menacing, super overpowering force? Or is God someone that you can laugh at as much as laugh with?
See, that's exactly one of the reasons why I really like the Dagda, is because he's a badass. He's multidisciplinary. He's multi-skilled.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot he can't really do, but he has no problem whatsoever with cutting a ridiculous figure. I equate that with some self-esteem security or something like that. But that's one of the things I actually really do respect him for, is the fact that he doesn't demand to be respected in that fashion. So he gets respect because he doesn't ask for respect.
Sorry?
Sorry.
As per Miles's question, I would personally take the latter over the former. I'd rather have someone that I could laugh with, or than to, cower in fear.
Yeah.
Just lamenting about one of the worst ways to find out deities want you to do something. When it's something you do anyway and things just happen to line up so easy. What?
Oh, more crickets.
Waiting for example.
Of crickets? Little bugs, big legs.
Lizard food.
Yep.
I have some examples, but they're too personal to share.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, but you'll tell us about them and make us wonder and cook up all this weird crap in our heads. Tease. Scurves of tease, man.
Scrubs and tease.
If you're a woman in the south central Pennsylvania area and you like a cock tease, we will give you directions to Scurvy's house.
God.
PCP at pagancenteredpodcast.com. You're not responsible for the occurrence of psychotic siblings.
I'll tell you guys after. Actually, no. You should have already figured this one out. So if you don't know it, screw you.
Hey, that's Facebook you.
Facebook you.
University.
Oh, wait, Facebook has a college now?
Holy shit, wall of derp that's on Facebook. That's why I use Google+. Well, you can find PCP on Google+. Just look up Pagan Center Podcast on plus.google.com.
Yay.
Sorry, I couldn't think of any other shameless plug to throw in there.
Serious announcer voice.
So I just want to summarize the discussion we've had tonight, because even though we did bring up a lot of the points I'm about to mention, I'm sure people will listen to this show and 90% of them would not stop to think about these things because they just kind of came in one conversation. First of all, we did go over the fact that some entities want to empower humans, and so when you try to worship them, they might not appreciate it. In fact, some of them might treat it as if you're giving them a jail sentence. So be careful. Do your research. Do your homework. Worship is not always taken as a means of appreciation.
In the words of Monty Python, stop groveling.
Right.
On the other hand, some entities do not take disrespect well. Some entities are downright power-hungry narcissists. Again, do your homework. Be careful of this as well.
Yeah.
One thing we did bring up way in earlier is actually Snooze who brought this up, and is the easiest way to put it is there's no mythical, metaphysical race called gods. Gods could be, any kind of powerful entity at the top of the food chain. So they come in all sizes, shapes, and colors. Just come to realize that. And shut up. There will be no worshipping of the Dave, okay? And
I don't think that's a very good idea, Dave.
All hail Dave, Lord of Purple.
Hail.
There will be no worshipping of the Dave. You already got a neighbor to worship. Go worship her. She's
Hey,
prettier.
you know what?
gourd,
I
gourd,
gave
follow
the
the
same
gourd.
order that this wasn't to happen, and we see how it worked. I don't know why you think you're any different.
Hey, now, we created the cult of Amber as an exercise in podcasters creating their own religious traditions and how stupid it is. And now we've grown bigger than the fairy tradition, okay?
Yeah, but I'm people took it seriously long before the podcast.
Yeah. But we've grown bigger than a legitimate religious tradition since having the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, we are all gods.
Hey,
Hey, we're not
Hey.
Mormons.
He's a god. I'm a god. Wouldn't you like to be a god too?
da-da-dum-bum-bum. Oh God, I'm gonna have that jingle in my head now. You are so messed up as soon as you get off this podcast.
Oh, by the way, I just lost the game.
And just as Dave can belong to the Church of Dave and the Cult of Amber,
I
deities
just lost the game.
deities can belong to multiple pantheons simultaneously, but be careful about saying that too loudly.
Well, who's listening? If they are, they know. Right?
Maybe it's just like guilt by association. I just don't want to be associated with certain pantheons.
Some people just like to get around.
Zeus.
Oh, I don't know. That's just a good question. Does Zeus answer Jupiter's email? You think?
Probably.
Maybe he
Yeah.
just has an email forwarder from when people stopped calling him Jupiter.
Right.
I wonder if Zeus is like his Hotmail account, and then he moved to Gmail and got Jupiter.
One's for Facebook, the other's for Google Plus.
There you go.
That's right.
You know, just to be a
No
little
Roman
bit retro,
charges.
just to be a little bit
Oh,
retro.
Bad. Very
Oh, that
was-
bad.
I'm
I
proud of
saved
that.
you for that one.
I'm proud of that. That was cool. It just came to me.
That was wrong.
That was horrible. Snooze beat him.
I'm behind the
Beat him
curtain.
now.
You know, I know everybody else is kind of like, screwed for this or whatever, but I know where your gonads sleep. You're in trouble.
Well, there is that.
Wow.
He will have
Yeah,
gonads and strife.
We need to add the event to this.
Oh
year's
my
episode,
god, I haven't
so-
been there in like 4 years.
Alrighty.
Awesome. Thank you.
Dave?
Hey, you have a
bastard.
free hand, right?
Dave?
What?
You bastard.
Well played.
I just spit tea all over my
Good job, Dave.
That
The power of
implies
Dave
not great.
compels you to spit tea all over your monitor.
Well, at least it's not a
First miracle.
Oh,
Is
God.
Facebook you.
Dave the saint.
Great. Now I'm going to be in the Catholic pantheon too. Thanks, people.
Dude, you kidding? I'm totally psyched. I mean,
Maybe it'll stop sucking now. Please stop raping little children, for God's sake.
Only until Dave leaves, then it'll all crash to come.
The whole church will just blow up. It's all good.
Burn.
That's known as the end of Dave.
Oh. Ow.
See a huge explosion of can.
Dave is the spirit of air.
Is he?
He used to be a wind elemental. Thankfully, that
Oh.
stage of his life is now past.
oh, trust me, on that road trip we took, yeah, Dave was still a wind elemental. That was
Okay.
not a good wind. There were ill tidings on that wind. Let me tell you. I mean,
Then you should have made him sit in the back with his butt hanging out the window. Quick, give him more
That you
fiber.
should say,
I'm just
Scarver,
kinda,
you should say what you just said about Dave only with a pirate voice.
Bad Nick. No talking about booty.
Oh, but I
still
like
think it's
it.
awesome though. I mean, we get to add to the list of things that have happened this year. Miles of the testicles being threatened on air.
Yay.
Man, we can make an awesome preview of this episode.
Wow, I mean, I thought I did an awesome job with operating on myself during podcasting, but damn, that one takes the cake. There's a lump here, and I'm not sure what it is, but it's coming out.
All right, we'll get back to gonads and strife after these messages. And we're back. I got nothing else. You want to move on to final thoughts?
Final thoughts.
Already?
Well, we got nothing else to talk about.
Well, like this question in your show notes about do atheists deify science? Or atheists showed, and if atheists deify science, what do they do to disrespect gods? Believe in something?
I believe in evolution.
Well, yeah.
Let's see. Sin as an atheist. Being skeptical of skepticism. There you go.
Dun, dun, dun.
Cool.
In that case, welcome to agnosticism.
I love how being evil in one religion makes you another religion.
See, final thought. Stop worshipping me and piss off. Filthy,
Hey,
filthy
now.
humans.
That's my line.
Hey, I was a deity first.
Okay, good point.
Oh, God, you.
So now instead of saying, oh God, I can say, oh you.
Sure.
Oh, Dave!
Not while I'm not Facebooking you, okay?
Well.
Man, this is gonna be a mess to clean up eventually.
My final thought is this must be our attempt to get hate mail.
Just celestial hate mail. Divine hate mail.
The gods called, they hate us.
What are they gonna do? Send another 18-wheeler at me?
Spam us on
Send
Facebook.
in an email. They'll send in hate mail about an interview that you did about 100 episodes ago.
Well,
No,
like,
I know what to do. They'll send you another idiot that you have to train for 10 hours on how to plug in a light switch. Flip a light switch, plug in something. It'll take you a week. Oh, you mean I stick it in a socket? That's magic and stuff.
Hey, Scurvy.
Yeah.
Safety wire.
Hmm.
The deities will send you a group of people to teach how to use safety wire.
That's actually got a lot of entertainment value. Those people tend to cut themselves a lot.
Yep.
yeah, but watch they be emo and like it.
Actually, my final thought would be that if the gods or God or whichever recognizes us as growing and transforming beings, they must acknowledge that as we grow, we also mature and learn to think for ourselves. So this respect through a growth process is healthy. So I think a God would acknowledge and appreciate a little disrespect now and then, so he doesn't have to watch over us all the bloody time.
This way they don't think that we're just blindly worshipping them and they're like, go away, you needy little bitch.
Exactly.
My final thought is I got the mental image of Scurvy telling off the gods in the context of, I hate you, you ruined my life. And slamming the door and running away.
My final thought is don't worship me, number one. And number two, if you got hate mail, send it to pcp@pagancenteredpodcast.com.
Yep.
My final thought is that the gods do like to test us. And sometimes that test requires you not to do what they say, but to do what you're supposed to do. That makes
That's
any
actually
sense.
cool. Yes, it
Yeah.
does. I like that a lot.
Score.
Oh, God. For those of you who are listening to the podcast and have no clue why we all just busted out laughing, Naria just said in the chat room, Brendan has testes.
Yes, I have lots of testes.
Oh my.
You have
Lots and lots of tests by the gods.
He's got grapes between his pants.
Are you like Darwin testes or something? I mean, kind of like an electron thing where you have to have so many in orbit around you, or
And the next time somebody says somebody's getting testy, I'm gonna just hear that in a whole new light.
I have a mental image of disembodied testicles just orbiting around Brandon.
I thought it was anime, but you know.
So, Amber, how does the physics of that work?
Apparently it doesn't. Brandon, you never told me that was part of the problem.
huh? Sorry, I totally spaced out there.
Oh, don't worry. That's just
All
your
for the
mind
test.
protecting you.
Amber, my only question is, what color should the set of truck nuts be?
Oh, those stupid things. Jeez.
I just had a self-defense mechanism activate there, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Very sensitive sunglasses.
That's what it feels like. Wow.
I declare
Apparently,
victory.
the night really is gonads and strife. That would be my final thought. Gonads and strife. Gonads and strife. Like, wee!
I feel like we're missing someone from Final Thoughts besides Peter, who nobody's going to ever believe was actually here.
We have the chat
final
log.
thought-
We have the chat log. It's part of the video.
My final thought is if deity likes to test us, why not test it?
Nick, that makes too much sense.
Like a
You
pop
and your
quiz?
infernal
How was that
logic.
done?
There's no logic allowed on the podcast.
Ha!
I think we do that every time we ask them for help.
Just start with
Are you actually listening? Hello?
Is this my con?
How do you test God? That's a very cool question. How do you test God?
Chinese
Well,
finger
how do you
trap.
test any relationship?
He hates chemistry, so give him a pop quiz on chemistry.
No, you test a relationship by means of requiring trust. But it's
Yeah,
not
so
like the
they can-
god's going to go out and worship some other human.
Well,
That would be funny to watch, though.
Your god worshipping some other human. What are you doing? Oh, baby, I can explain.
Why do you have a statue of Patrick Stewart? Yeah.
Stuart, come on. Well, all right.
Star Trek action figure, really?
Patrick Stewart too.
It's just a Star Trek action.
And here's
figure.
another one of Chuck. Here's another one of Chuck Norris. I can only imagine how that would go down.
Oh, don't say that.
All right, for all three of you listening live, We'll be back next week with something else. I forget what. I think we're interviewing someone for Pagan Shopping Network, right, Amber?
We might be. Yes, I think we
Frog
are.
Frollies.
Sleeping Griffin.
Sleeping Griffin. One of them. Somebody!
Does she crochet testicles?
Nope, probably should.
I have seen crocheted testicle warmers.
I was just thinking that.
Yes, not crocheted testicles themselves.
You can have little crochet testicles.
Wrong.
So they hang them from a mobile. So they feel like
Or-
the testicle field around Brandon.
You just say hanging from a Volvo.
Brandon's testicles are hanging from a Volvo?
Why? Wow.
Wow, it just went from
Amber's driving it.
Like being entirely
Interesting, I mean-
inappropriate for the Volkswagen.
kind of strange. I mean, first
Sam, if Brandon's
Miles'
testicles
testicles
are
were
hanging from the
threatened,
vault,
and now
does that mean Brandon's penis is a
No,
vulva? I don't think about that.
Podcast where no other podcast dares to go. This is great.
We've delved deeper into Amber's bedroom than we've ever done before, and I don't think Amber appreciates it.
Dave, just give up and rename it the Gonad episode.
This episode
That's the
go back to
ballsy
Sprite.
thing to do.
All right, well, that's it for this week's episode of Gonads and Strife. We'll also have an episode in 2 weeks where we recap the silliness of the past year, and I think this episode will take on that one. All right, good night, everyone.
Night.
Good night.